So in this segment, we're going to learn about much more about the fourth trimester, about the neurological development of the newborn. And a key question that you may have that I certainly had 26 years ago is, how do you help a baby cry less and sleep more? And a core skill that you're going to learn in the Newborn Touch Instructor Program comes from the 5 S's, which were coined by Dr. Harvey Karp. And they are 5 skills that I'll teach you so that you can help parents learn how to help their babies cry less and sleep more. And the 5 S's are swaddling, side lying, swaying, shushing, and sucking. So we're going to watch a dad, and we're going to watch him with his little daughter, Allie, and she is going to, we're just going to spend about a minute on this, but what you'll see is you will see dad using the 5 S's with his daughter to help her soothe, to help soothe her. And we're going to move on into there she is, and she is fussing, but you can see that dad is getting ready to swaddle her. He's bringing her right arm in and tucking it with the swaddle cloth. So let's listen how he takes her from full tilt crying into calmness in less than a minute.
It's okay, Abby.
And already she's beginning to calm, just with swaddling. Sideline. And there she is. He gives her a little bit of a sway, and she's all settled down. So those are some of the ways that you help a little baby cry less and sleep more. And there are other strategies that we'll talk about throughout the course. So you're going to learn the 5 S's all through. It's woven into the course, each way that it is particularly relevant to the curriculum that we're doing at the moment. That's where we're going to learn each of the 5 S's. So the next thing I want to share with you is just a tiny little bit about Dr. Karp. So I was introduced to him when I worked in the newborn intensive care unit, and we were so lucky because we had him at a couple of conferences, and we were able to really get a deeper understanding of his work, which is in his book, The Happiest Baby on the Block. You'll find him on YouTube, his website, and he teaches the skills of how to trigger the calming reflex. So it turns out that babies are born with lots of newborn reflexes, one of which is the calming reflex. Who knew? I certainly didn't know that when my baby was born. And the calming reflex is a use it or lose it reflex, just like the other newborn reflexes. So how does it work? In Dr. Karp's demonstrations, he uses a knee hammer, the same kind of knee hammer that healthcare providers use when they want you to hop up on their exam table and they want to check and see if you have the reflexes that are in place. It's kind of a neurological test. And so if the healthcare provider taps on your knee and doesn't tap on exactly the right spot, then they're not getting the reflex that they're looking for. But as soon as they tap the right spot, your knee hops up and they know that they have found that neurological pathway. That's how the calming reflex works. The 5 S's are done very precisely so that you can trigger the calming reflex. And there are other ways as well that we'll be talking about, but it's important to understand how precise the skills are. In the Newborn Touch Instructor Program, you're going to learn and practice the precise skills of how to trigger a newborn's calming reflex and how to support them in that. So when we're talking about the newborn, we understand that the newborn is neurologically unfinished. So we now know about the fourth trimester. We know about what we've learned from from the science of anthropology, that babies are born 3 months too soon. There is that missing fourth trimester, and that babies are born neurologically unfinished. Another way that we know that is because our babies have a large open fontanelle on the tops of their heads. And so this is called their soft spot. They also have another one back here. But this is why you'll see with our demonstration dolls, I do want to suggest that you make sure that your demonstration dolls have a cap, because we want to make sure that that open fontanelle, that soft spot, that baby's not losing too much warmth. That's another care practice for us to be aware of, is a soft cotton cap is just what the baby needs to hold that warmth inside. If you are with a baby, or if a mom doesn't have, or a dad doesn't have a cap, then often just putting your palm over baby's head can provide enough warmth and soothing to help the baby calm down. So we're aware that this open fontanelle indicates to us that babies are neurologically unfinished, and the fontanelle begins to close, and after a while it's closed, but while it's open, we know that babies really need our support. Now, let's take a look kind of at a high level of what's going on when I say that babies are neurologically unfinished. In this graph from Harvard Center for the Developing Child, we see that many of these important pathways are developing before birth, and they spike right at birth. And then by the time the baby has completed his or her first year of life, many of these pathways are already in place. They're already defined. So let's take a little deeper dive into those pathways. In this slide, we're going to be concerning ourselves just with this part over here. And these are the pathways that begin developing before birth. So this white line is the birth line. So this is where baby's born. And then these, the pink, orange, green, blue, and gray lines are the ones that we're going to talk about. Because if I could draw a line right here around the fourth trimester, this is baby's first birthday, so we could divide that space and we could say, look at the development that is happening at birth, before birth, and during the fourth trimester. So let's take these one by one. The top one, the gray line, and then second one down, the blue line. These are the pathways that look, they're beginning to develop well before birth. We already saw that because these pathways are the pathways for vision and for hearing. And we know from the earlier part of the NTOUCH instructor's course that they began developing in the second and third trimester of the prenatal period. But look what else is developing. The green line is habitual ways of responding. This is how we know about triggering the calming reflex. This is how we know about self-regulation, self-soothing. And the pink line, so important, that's emotional control. Look at that line. It starts developing before birth, but then as soon as baby's born, this is bonding, attachment. This is holding baby skin to skin. Baby learns mom's face and puts the face with the voice. But baby learns dad's face and puts dad's face with his voice. So much is happening in the realm of emotional control right at birth, in those first few hours and weeks of life. And then another line so important, this orange one, begins developing before birth, and that is the line for language. So our babies don't even start talking until they're a year old, but look at the incredible growth of language, the pathways, all the neuropathways for language that are well in place before the fourth trimester and during the fourth trimester. So this is the basis of our understanding of the care practices that we can adopt as we begin to work with our families and work with our little ones. Because the goal that we have, the shared goal that we have, is that we want to help those babies develop those neuropathways that are very much enriched down here and not the impoverished neuropathways. We really want the enriched neuropathways. And how do we do that? We do that with a Lifeways, Waldorf-inspired, natural kind of an environment that protects the baby's sense of sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch. All of the senses of the baby are protected and enriched through that kind of an environment. So we could use the metaphor of construction. Babies' brains are under construction, right? So in this house, you can see that the framing is already in. And so it'd be very difficult right now in this building process to say, you know what, I changed my mind. I really want the kitchen in the back and I want the living room in the front. The construction has already begun. So we can use this metaphor as we think about the developing brain before the baby's born, starting as early as 8 weeks gestation with the sense of touch and all of the different things that are being framed, the framework that's happening inside the brain architecture of the newborn and of the developing baby before birth. So all of our babies, in my opinion, would benefit from having a little cap on their head that says under construction, so that it can remind all of us that the care practices that we adopt and that we promote in the newborn instructors course are care practices that support the construction that is happening, so that we remember that our little brand new precious newborns are very much under construction, and the way we care for them, the care practices we adopt, make all the difference in how they develop. See you next segment. Please take a moment, if you will, down in the comments, let us know. What do you think? What landed with you? What are your thoughts? What's going on for you? And I'll see you in the next segment.